Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Alicia and I am the owner of Alicia Be Creative. Today's video is yet another tutorial and we're back with Tumblr tutorials, and we're going to be working on a beautiful design using a brand new glitter and vinyl bundle from Vinyl Gallery. So I collaborated once again with Lindsay over there at Vinyl Gallery and we put together a glitter and vinyl bundle. So all of the bundle was curated and created by myself, and then Lindsay put together this absolutely gorgeous pastel bundle of glitters, and we're going to be using these. So this is really unique because it's actually named after a lot of the sayings that I say in my YouTube tutorials, so you'll definitely recognize some of the names of these glitters, but I can't wait to show you what we're going to create today. So be sure to check the description box out for all of the products that I use in today's video, as well as any discount codes that I have for you to save a little bit of extra money. So I'm excited. Let's go ahead and jump right into today's tutorial. Of course, you know that I have to start by showing you all of the pieces that were part of this, if you will, bundle. So these are the patterns that I put together. They are so beautiful and they match so perfectly with the glitters that were part of this glitter bundle vinyl pack. So we're not going to be using vinyl today, but I definitely will be using those in the future. Let's get into the glitter. So this is the yellow pastel glitter. You can order these in a chunky mix, or you can order them in ultra fines, or be like me and of course grab two. That way you can create that gorgeous dimension and depth in your cups. This is On My Lanta, which is the pastel pink. I love this. It's just so cute, so gorgeous. Now moving into a whole vibe, which is the pastel orange. Another like real fave of mine. I really am just getting into the orange vibes, I think, now as we get closer to summer. This is the If You Will color. This is the pale blue color. In both, again, you can get a chunky mix or you can get it in fine. Then we're moving on to obviously is the pastel or pale green. I just think that these just scream spring, these colors. I mean, how could you not look at these colors and not like want to make something spring related? And then we have Holy Gorgeousness. So Holy Gorgeousness is this beautiful purple vibe. It's just, oh, I just love it. So this is everything together. Now let's go ahead and get started on creating this cup. So we're going to be using, obviously, Holy Gorgeousness and If You Will as the three colors. We're also going to use a few whites to kind of put together this sort of Milky Way swirl vibe. So I have already spray painted my cup here, and what I've done is I've started with a white base, and then I've just put those swirls of purple, like that teal, green, and blue. So we're starting with Holy Gorgeousness as the chunky mix, and then we're going to go in, of course, with all of our chunkies first. So this is obviously the pale green. Love, love, love this color. It was beautiful over this winter or mint mist color from Rust-Oleum. Absolutely gorgeous. And then we're going to go in with If You Will over that pale blue section there. I do like to base paint or spray paint my cup to match the colors. I find that for me, I get the best coverage, number one, but also I'm really able to kind of make those colors pop. After I've done my base layer of my chunkies, I'm going to go back in between each of the colored sections with Unicorn Sneeze, which is also from Vinyl Gallery. You can pick this up from the website or in the shop. After I've gotten the chunky white down in those sections, we'll now go back over with the fine colors. So starting again with Holy Gorgeousness, we're going to cover over that purple section, and with this fine glitter, we're going to start to blend into the white on either side of this purple section. And of course, don't forget the bottom of your cup. Moving into the obviously, we're now going to take obviously and we're going to blend this into the white section. It's really funny to kind of like say the catchphrases that are part of my YouTube videos as glitter colors because it's almost like flubbing me up a little bit. Finally, we're going to go in with If You Will, which is the beautiful pale blue or pastel blue color to finish out sort of the colored sections. Before we go back in, tap off any of our excess glitter and go over the cup in those white sections with our final color. Our final color here is going to be Over the Rainbow, another 4K glitter vinyl or glitter from Vinyl Gallery. So you can definitely make sure to pick this up as well if you're looking to recreate this Milky Way swirl that we're going with. So this is the final look of that. This cup did go back on the turner for 2 coats of glitter. Now that we are, or 2 coats of epoxy, now that we are back to our cup here, we're going to be taking some of my Aisha Creations UV glitters and we're going to be adding leopard print spots. So I have Grape Slush in UV, I have Periwinkle, and I have Drama. So Drama is this beautiful magenta, the Grape Slush is purple, and then the Periwinkle is a UV glitter that then shines blue under UV light or outside in the sunlight. So starting over the green section, which is obviously, I'm going to speed up a lot of this because you guys have seen me do leopard print. I'm just taking plain Mod Podge and I'm just painting on my leopard print spots. I'm then going to go over that section with Grape Slush. So I'm putting purple over green. The idea is that I want there to be a different color over each of the larger colored sections of my cup, because in my head this is going to work together, but again, as I'm working through this, I don't always know how things are going to go. So now that I have that section done, we'll move to the blue. We'll just paint on those C shapes, those parentheses, those C shapes and a dot. So you know all of the leopard print sort of shapes. Over this, we're going to put Drama. So Drama is that beautiful magenta like pink color. It really is so beautiful too in the sunlight once you get that out in the UV light. Oh, so beautiful. Then finally, over the purple, after I've done my leopard print, we're going to go over the purple section with Periwinkle. So Periwinkle is the final UV glitter that I'm going to use on this. There are several other UV glitters out there. My Aisha Creations I know has some. And I really want to be able to show you what this looks like. So when you put this under UV light, this is what it's going to look like. It'll appear to be white leopard print spots until you get it out in the sunlight, and then it looks like this absolute gorgeousness. So I've let that dry. I have sort of brushed off any excess glitter and I have sprayed sealed those spots to make sure that none of that glitter is going to migrate and move. Now that we are moving back to my turner here, I've got my cup here and I've got about probably 60 mLs in the cup. I did just put some epoxy on the 2 cups that are next to this one that are using the If You Will bundle as well. So some of the other projects I've been working on, but I'm breaking up that epoxy into multiple cups here. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that epoxy, probably less than 10 mLs in all of those cups. I have 4 cups there. I've done a beautiful purple mica from Vinyl Gallery in the first cup. I then have 2 apple barrel paints that I will list in the description box. And then we're going to go in and use Alumilite's white epoxy dye, just a drop of that in that last cup. Then we'll take our stir stick and we'll go ahead and we will stir this all up. I like my paint in epoxy to be a sort of thicker consistency, so I get a nice stringy sort of pull when I pull that stir stick out. It really helps with creating those lines that we're going to create on this cup for this sort of Milky Way vibe we have going on. So I'm going to stir up those 2 paint cups and then finally stir up that beautiful purple lavender violet color that we have going on in this final cup here. Once I have gotten all of my colorants mixed up, we're going to go back to our cup here. And of course, we're going to go ahead and do a coat of epoxy on our cup just to be our base, because we are going to want a little bit of movement in our lines that we're going to put our Milky Way lines, if you will, all over the cup, to make sure that we can get a little bit of movement. So I try and put anywhere from 10 to 15-ish mLs as a base. Now I am using Flynn Sisters Premium Epoxy, and I say this, I feel like every time I mention this epoxy, but if you are on the market for new epoxy or you just like trying new epoxies, this is the epoxy to grab. The absolute beautiful, beautiful shine that I get, the absolute clearest coats of epoxy I have ever gotten on cups has been with this epoxy, and I absolutely swear by it. I don't care that it takes, 8 to 12 hours to cure fully in my space. I would rather use this than any other product that I have used in the past, so I definitely encourage you to hop on this. So after I have sort of gotten that first layer of epoxy down, that way we have a little bit of a barrier in between the leopard print spots and what is going to be our colorants. We're going to start with our purple colorant. So what I'm trying to do here is I am putting the colorant sections over the white sections that separate each color. So I am going to keep them rather sort of segmented or separate. So I've put the purple strip of the mica epoxy in between my blue and green. Then I'm going to take this beautiful Caribbean blue color and put some snakes of lines with my stir stick in between my green and my purple. Just a couple lines each. I just really am trying to get thin lines here. I will be using my heat gun to sort of blow out those lines to make them a little bit thicker, to make them a little bit wavier and a little bit funkier, to really kind of, you know, showcase that Milky Way vibe we're kind of going for here. And then we'll go back to sort of that tealer green color and finish up with sort of these deeper colored lines. And we'll put that and settle that right in between the blue, so if you will, and Holy Gorgeousness section there. So that was kind of why I wanted to create that barrier of white glitter in between each of the colored sections, because I wanted to be able to add more colorant, but I'm trying my best not to cover up all of the leopard print spots, because I want when someone takes this cup out into the sunlight, I want to be able to see all those gorgeous leopard print spots very apparent. And so I know that I still have to go in and add a little bit of some white epoxy dye, epoxy, to obviously make this a true Milky Way, if you will. But I wanted to make sure that I had a little bit of those other colors as well. So before I go into adding my white, I am just going to take the time now to use my heat gun and really just blow out my lines. I don't want to add too much heat, right? Because if I add too much heat, I'm going to get too much movement, and too much movement really means that all of my colors are just going to kind of swirl and muddle. So be really careful with your addition of heat. I like to do just a couple blasts in certain areas and kind of just let it go. It will continue to move as I go, but too much fast movement is really going to make things a little bit haywire and maybe not really go for the look I'm trying to achieve. Now we're going back in with the epoxy dyed epoxy. So we've got our white epoxy dye in this last cup of epoxy, and we're just adding 2 or 3 lines right in those leopard print sections. I will go back with the heat gun and really blow those out. So the idea and the thought behind this cup is, number one, I've been in love with UV glitter as of recently. So this was like the perfect opportunity to use this. But my idea is that when I'm looking at the cup on hand, it just looks like a beautiful Milky Way, and then when you take it outside, it becomes a whole sort of next level design. So I wanted to make sure that I was still adding the white lines, of course, to really give that Milky Way look and vibe, but I didn't want it to overtake the entire cup. I wanted to make some space where I really would be able to very vividly see the leopard print once that UV glitter sort of pops and shines and stands out. So after I have put a little bit of heat on those white lines, you can see that I've blown some of those lines out. They really are giving that beautiful wave-like look that I love when it comes to Milky Ways. And what I'm doing here now is just sort of cleaning up some of my lines. I didn't want too many of the wavy lines. I wanted there to kind of be like a really sort of opaque look in some sections, but also kind of more of a misty look, right? A little foggy look with some of the flatter lines. So I'm just brushing my finger along some of those white lines and white areas and cleaning up any of the colored lines that maybe got a little bit too wonky or too crazy. This is your opportunity to just kind of clean things up before you torch this and leave it to cure. Now, while your cup is curing, you are going to get still a little bit of movement. So if you feel like you're not 100% satisfied the first time around, leave it for 10 to 15 minutes, especially if you're using a regular epoxy. Come back, see if you want to add any more colorant before you kind of, are out of time, if you with your pot of epoxy. I always, and I've said this before, I always encourage you to use a regular set epoxy when you're doing a Milky Way. You have way more time to work with it. Fast sets aren't going to give you half as much time as you are going to need to really be able to perfect the Milky Way look that you might be trying to achieve. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly torch that, but this is kind of what it looks like. And after this, I did my 2 final coats of epoxy, and this is what it looks like. So I am absolutely in love with how this looks. After UV, this is what it looks like. I think it looks perfect. I can't wait to actually get it out in the sunlight. Of course, today chose to be a gloomy day, but I know this was a quick one, but I do still hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. And of course, if you did, be sure to give this video a huge thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And what are you waiting for? Go ahead and go purchase that If You Will bundle, which is linked down in the description. I'll see you guys soon. Bye!